Welcome back to Loan Officer Success Live, and this is the Coach's Corner powered by Premier Lending. Your host, mortgage leader and business builder, Devin Dubuque, and the coach with the winning playbook, Rick Koenig. Together, they're bringing you real strategies, no fluff insights, and the exact steps to grow your mortgage business. Buckle up, because this is Loan Officer Success Live. What do you think, Coach?
Well, I'm representing. It's a holiday here in Cincinnati. It is opening day of the 2026 baseball season, and we're the oldest team in Major League Baseball. So I'm wearing the Cincy duds and the Cincy hat, representing the Cincinnati.
Looks good, man. Looks good on you. I like it. Well, I've got no reason for wearing brown tones today, but you know what, man? That's what I'm doing. So here we are. What'd you think of the new intro?
I like the new intro. It sounds good. It kind of talks about exactly what we're going to do.
That's it. Well, and today, we're going to talk about, why you don't need more leads. You need better conversation. So I think let's jump. You know what? Maybe we should talk a little bit about where we've been, because we haven't been here the last couple of weeks. We've been on tour.
Yeah, we had our top producers trip for the company, so that was kind of fun. We all got together down in the Bahamas for 3 or 4 days. Well, most of us 3 or 4 days. One person was only 2.5 days. We won't go into that story.
Real adventure. A real adventure.
It was an adventure, but we had a lot of fun.
And sea. Yeah, land, sea, and plane, right?
Yeah. Yeah, what was the movie with John Candy? Cars, Trucks, and Buses or something?
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah, what I was actually quoting, I don't know if you caught it, you probably didn't, was Joe versus the Volcano with Tom Hanks.
Oh, my gosh.
He goes to pick out his luggage, and when he's talking to the guy at the luggage store, he tells him, well, how are you going to be traveling? He's like, well, I'm going to be on a boat, and then we're going to go across the ocean, and then we're going to be on a plane. And he's like, ooh, a real voyage. I think we had a voyage. And some of us more than others, right?
Yep. So it's funny, but it was a fun weekend.
It was a fun weekend. Yeah, we had a great time, and that's what it's all about. Getting to reap the rewards. We've got people out there that are putting it on the line every single year, doing really good things. And I think the one thing we always like to talk about is it's not just about the good things that we're doing for them and their families, but for the families that they're serving. Top funder to me means that we're helping more people, right? Yeah. And I think that's what makes it so special.
Yeah, and it kind of just ties right in. How is somebody that's closing $30 million doing better than somebody closing 20 million, or somebody 20 closing better than the one doing 10, when sometimes they're getting the same number of leads?
Yeah.
It comes down to that conversion. Yeah,
conversion conversations, right? So here's one of the questions I'm going to ask you, and I think this is a little redundant, but we're going to ask it anyways. So why do so many loan officers and agents think they need more leads when they probably don't?
A lot of times it's because they're just not going deep with the people. They're not building a relationship with them, and they're not either hanging on to them, or sometimes they're not pushing them. And I don't mean pushing them in a bad way, but encouraging them to go ahead. If you're ready to buy the house, the numbers look good, and get them, prepared to go ahead and buy that house.
Education.
Oh yeah. Education.
Yeah. I just had a conversation earlier today with one of our loan officers on the Cageless Callers. And, literally that was what we talked about was, preparing clients, for how to engage in the market. And I think the big issue that we're seeing right now is a lot of clients that are thinking that this isn't the right time to move forward. It's just because they don't have the right information, or they spoke to the wrong person who's not giving them the ability to understand how they could actually make homes affordable right now, right? There's programs on the market today, not a 50-year mortgage, right?
Yeah.
That can allow for clients to leverage, the current market situation, which is that homes are sitting longer. Sellers are more willing to negotiate. And as a result, it actually is a great time to buy in this market. And more importantly, there's a reason why investors have actually taken over, as 30 to 34% in any market of homes being purchased in the United States today are from investors. Why is that? Right. Well, because they have the understanding that when you can buy a home lower and negotiate on that price or that
Yeah.
property, the long-term investment value, right? And the scenario that I talked about earlier today was, utilization of our AIM program. And when I challenged our loan officer in this particular situation was, let me ask you this question, coach. So if a client is renting today and they approach their landlord or their leaser or whoever they're renting from, and they said, look, I'm going to stay with you for the next 4 years, but I need to know if staying with you for the next 4 years that you're not going to increase my rent over that period of time. And at the end of the transaction, I'm going to get to keep 60% of the equity that you've earned on this home. What do you think that the answer from that person is going to be? It's not possible.
Big fat no.
That's it. Yeah. Want in one hand,
I like
color
that.
clothing in the other, and you got your answer, right? So
Yep.
at the end of the day, the answer is no. So there are products out there right now that makes homes affordable, and a lot of the times it's just a misunderstanding as to how you can actually package that and help people understand how to make that a possibility in today's market. And that's typically comes from misinformation. And a lot of times misinformation from talking to the wrong person, right? And that person could be a loan officer that just doesn't understand the market. It could be a real estate agent. It could be your uncle who says, hey, don't buy right now because the rates are in a bad position. And there's a lot of logic that's going to explain to you exactly why that's not the case.
Or they don't understand how equity builds in a property, and that you don't have to have your dream house for your first house or your second. My first house was a little 2-bedroom ranch, all those houses built after World War II, thousands of them built in the neighborhood. They all look the same.
Yeah.
That was my first house. We thought we'd be there 5 years. We were there less than 2. Bought another house. We were there for 3. Sold that one.
The equity you gained in those homes, though. I think
that's we gained. And now, if I look back, had I just kept my money in the first one, that first one would have been paid off, gosh, 15, 20 years ago, and it would have been producing cash for me. So if they understand, buy the first house, don't make it it doesn't have to be the dream home. Have a 3 to 5 year plan, get into it, either get out of it or end up keeping it as a rental property and go for your next property.
That's it. Or take the equity that you make out of that and buy a couple of rental properties, right? I mean, give you an example. My first home was a starter home. I lived there a little longer than I think you did. But at the end of the day, when I sold that property, I made $250,000.
Oh, wow.
$250,000.
That doesn't happen in Cincinnati.
Well, you're in a different part of the country, right? You guys have more of a 3 to 4% appreciation. And some of the markets that we serve are in the same boat. And the person I was speaking to this morning, they were at 3% market appreciation. I'm in Texas. We see 5%, but in some markets, we see as much as 10%. And guess what? When you see a 10% appreciation in a market, man, that's a massive way to earn long-term generational wealth, right? So it's misinformation. And I think that goes back to what we're talking about, right? You don't need more leads, you need better conversations. If you're explaining to people how the market works and how compound interest works on these homes, because you're compounding the equity every single year, right? While in turn paying down principal balance, you're going to open up opportunities that other people are not opening up because they're talking about the wrong things. And more importantly, if you don't know your products, you don't know how to have great conversations, because there's products on the market right now. There are people out there that have created programs to make homes affordable in today's market to solve for the problem, which is what people feel are high rates. They're not high rates. You and I know that, but that's a different topic, because you can't convince somebody that's not a high rate when they saw that they were in the 3s and as low as the 2s, right? A couple of years back, right? That was an anomaly. You and I both know what the average market rates are. We're actually here. These are average market rates.
Exactly.
But it doesn't change the fact we had a perfect storm. Homes went up in value. People's income went down. Savings has dropped, and we saw unbelievable interest rates for a long period of time. So let's get back onto it. So what are you seeing right now? Are pipelines empty, or are they being mismanaged?
Depends on the people. I think they're, a lot of loan officers that have legacy loans and people that, are past clients, and they're not monitoring where they're at and the opportunities to refinance them. Uh, they are sitting there waiting for something to happen that's already happened, and we lost it twice over the last 90 days. We've had the rates dip to a low for the year and then jump right back up, whether it was the war that was going on, or whether it was just something in the with the one of the reports that came out. Had you had conversations with that borrower, you set up what we call like a strike rate that, for a refinance, that when it hits this rate, we're going for it no matter what. You have to either commit to it or not. I mean, already once you had to call that person back and say, man, we didn't have that. If we would have had that as a strike rate, you'd already be saving money. Now it's happened a second time. Third time's a charm. When you're talking to these people, as long as you've been talking to them, you can let them know, we can't let this go by again. Even though you want 3% rates, 4% rates, 5% rates, we're back in the new normal. And that's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And
well,
here's our rate.
I think there's also a reality of the fact that, we got a lot of people that have CRMs. They have their clients' information in there, and they've got programs that are out there that are sending out consistent information. And they go, man, that's enough. But it's not enough, right? It's not enough just to use those. Those programs will help. You'll get in front of more people. You will be more top of mind. So don't get it wrong. I'm not saying that CRMs don't work. They do. But it's also how you're utilizing that CRM, right?
Okay.
Are you making it a point to make sure that you're reaching out to your database by phone once a quarter, just to let them know that you're there, and let them know that, you're here to help them through any decision, whether it's mortgage related or not, right? That you have access to resources that maybe they aren't going to need. Who knows? They may have a roof issue, or they may have a plumbing issue, or they may have something that comes up and they don't have that perfect contact. But guess what? As an originator, you do. And if you don't personally have it, the agents that you work with do. So these are great opportunities to have touch points and let your consumers know. It also allows for you to have conversations about market trends, what's happening right now with some of your other consumers, because sometimes just talking about somebody else that you help save a great deal of money, or how you're able to help somebody purchase 2 new investment properties and actually double their net worth, utilizing equity in a position that they already have, this opens up opportunities that you're not thinking about that are there. Another great resource inside of a CRM is utilizing video marketing to be able to send something out to your people, just so they can see your face and let them know that you're actually thinking about them. So, hey, by the way, I just want to share a strategy. I just helped somebody with this particular situation. And at the end of the day, it occurred to me that I should share it with others, because this helped them in this way, right?
100%.
You put that video out there and you blast that out to your CRM. This is just another touch point, or a way that you can wake up people that really probably need it. The ones that don't need it, they're going to watch the video and go, that doesn't really apply to me, but thank you for sending it out, right? You're going to have a percentage that go, why'd you send me this video? I'm going to block you. And that's the ones that a lot of times we focus on, and we can't, because if it's a small percentage, then we can't let that get in the way of the mass of people that actually enjoyed the fact that you took the time to talk to them, right? And then you're going to have that group that loves it and says, I need this right now.
If you're when we say mismanaging your pipeline right now, mismanaging it could be just not marketing to your past database to have people in your pipeline to be managing, so it's a combination of both. But the opportunities are out there, and just putting yourself out there. And like you said, if you're doing posts on the internet and you're just doing good content, and you can go out there and Google, you can search with chat, what is the most asked question about refinancing, and see what those most asked questions are, and do a quick 1-minute video about the top 3 and drop them a couple of days in a row, 3 days in a row, and then maybe redo them again later on. You'll be surprised. Hey, tell your friends to share this in case there's somebody they know that needs help like this. And you can have a story to go with each question, of somebody that's already refinanced. And it doesn't have to be your personal client. It could be somebody that you know of that did it with one of the other loan officers.
Well, and I think it's important to remember that some people, they don't care. It doesn't matter because it doesn't apply to them. But you're going to touch some people by doing this that go, man, you know what? I need some help right now. And you didn't know they needed help, because it's very difficult sometimes for people to see it. But when they understand somebody else has a struggle and you're explaining them how you help them with that struggle, sometimes they're going to reach out, and they may reach out silently. I can't tell you how many times I've had people reach out in the DMs because they don't want it to be public, right? Where they've
Right.
called me on my cell phone from something that I've done because they go, oh, you know what? It applied to me, but I didn't want everybody else to know I was having this problem, right? So when you can share that story about how you serve somebody else by helping them with the solution, and you can do that inside of your CRM, or you can do that, as Coach said, through your social media, you're inviting people to reach out to you for solving that same problem that they may be having and maybe uncomfortable to say. And let me tell you something. A lot of times when you share the story about somebody that has a worse problem than theirs, it makes them a lot more comfortable sharing the fact that they are having some sort of a struggle, because they go, man,
Yep.
I'm not alone. Other people are feeling this too.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. It's kind of interesting. You don't think about, a lot of these things, but when we were getting ready to purchase our first house, we were under the impression, that you needed 20% down. And it was also 20% interest rates, or 16% interest rates back then.
Yeah.
My dad's SBA loan on his company was 21% at that time.
Right.
You wonder why the guy had a heart attack, right? And so when we called a realtor to finally talk to a realtor, and I said, how are, and I named off the friends that were buying houses. He's like, oh, they're going FHA, 3.5% down. And I said, gosh, we've got 10% down. And I'm like, Mike, are you there? And next thing I know, ding, 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 he's banging on my door, ready to take me out looking at homes because we had 10% down. So,
well, let's shift gears a little bit, Coach, because we've talked a little bit about how to go after the existing database, but let's talk about things that people do wrong when they get leads, right? So if somebody has leads in their pipeline today, what should they be doing now to convert more of them?
Well, the first thing is you've got to have a follow-up system from the first time you talk to them. So if you haven't made that first call, you got to make that first call
quick.
Yeah, because servicers and other people are out there. I mean, look at the tools we've looked at. We looked at Modex this morning, and Eric was showing us tools that I could pull up possible refis anywhere in the country in the next 5 minutes. And you could pick up the phone and call them. You could have a VA call them. You could do a lot of different things. So if you're not picking up the phone and making that first call, don't be surprised if they haven't already talked to their servicer. And it's time to start rebuilding the relationship you already had. Start educating them on what's been going on in the market, what opportunities have actually happened, and which ones are, might be coming up, and explain to them, hey, this might be the third time this happens this year. And if this is what you want to do to save this much money, we got to be prepared to make the move happen quickly.
Well, let's go back and talk about this too. You mentioned Model Match, and you mentioned some of the predictive marketing programming, but more importantly, and I think this is great, is that not only can they find the individuals that actually potentially need support and help right now, but they can enrich that data on the software with a phone number and an email address. So now they immediately have the ability to reach out and make contact. So, there's people out there that are proactively doing this, and that's what you're talking about. But what I want to talk a little bit about is when they get a new lead, right? So they get a new lead from an agent or from a referral partner. Speed to contact is extremely important, because effectively there's a lot of reasons behind this. Number one, you have to be in front of the consumer quickly so that they have confidence in you. They have confidence that they matter. This is a big transaction for them, and it means a lot to them that somebody's taking the time to invest inside and help them get where they want to go. So being punctual is super important, but not just for the client, but also for the agent, because the agent also is putting trust in you by providing that lead. And so when they see that you're taking the initiative to jump on that like a hand grenade, like I got this, right? I'm going to jump on this. You're protecting their investment, which is their income, right? When they're transitioning these over, that's their income. So the speed to contact is important, but this is where a lot of people stop, because they get the speed part down, but then they stop with the frequency. They don't pay attention to making sure that they consistently are following up. And this is where a CRM can help, and having a great follow-up system and structure. So you have two different things that you can do here. Number one, you can do the outreach call. Number two, you can do text and email. But if you're building a great CRM system, the CRM can also help with that. While you're the one that's focused on doing the outreach calls, you can have your CRM set up with sequences of communication with text and email that are following up for you in the background, so that you can stay focused with 2 phone touches per day, and let the CRM send a text message and an email, or multiple text messages and emails in the very first 3 days, because you need to be touching that lead about 3 to 4 times a day in the beginning to get it kicked off and started.
Yeah.
Unless the client says, hey, back off, I'm not ready right now. And then you just turn off that particular campaign so that it's not as structured and focused. Find out what a good time to reach back out is, set the appointment, reel it in, and show your agent these touch points and communications so that they know that you're actively pursuing their client. So I think for me, Coach, it's speed to contact, but it goes back to what you talked about.
Speed to contact, which is that first contact has to be a learning session. You have to start asking them questions to learn about them. You have to know everything that's going on. What's their motivation for buying right now? Are they selling an existing home? Did they just inherit some money? Did all, 3 of their friends just buy houses? Or maybe wifey's going to have a baby and they want to get out of where they're at. You've got to talk to them. You got to go deep with them. And the more questions you ask and the more they realize that you really care about what's going on with them is how that relationship is built. And if you don't build some of that relationship in that first call, and then in subsequent calls, follow up with questions or comments on stuff they said to you so that they remember, they know that you remembered what you talk about, it's the relationship. And even if they got your name from the realtor that has to give out 3 cards, they're going to remember you, because if the other ones all tried to sell, and you tried to get to know them, they're going to appreciate that. So even if they feel like they're not ready, and you're building that relationship and you say, hey, I'm really not ready to do anything. I said, okay, but have you ever just run the numbers with somebody just to see where you're at so that you can, really put a target on, when I get to this point, I'm going to do it. How about we show you where you're at? And my favorite question always was, what's the monthly payment that you feel you'd be comfortable with? And I'd say 90% of the time they said way below what they actually qualified for, and maybe way below what they could actually use to buy a home right now. Yeah. But if you build that relationship, they're going to open up and talk to you. And even if it isn't right now, if you have that follow-up system in place, you're going to get those people back. They're not going to want to talk to 3 other people after they talk to you.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because the next thing I was going to say is, what does a good conversation actually sound like? And I think you just answered that. But I think I want to take that one step further. And it's a big part about getting to know them and getting to know who they are and letting them know that you're vested in their success. But it's also finding out what they want. What is really important to them, right? Why are they purchasing the home? And what is their intent once they find that perfect home? What are the things that they are excited about buying that home for? I had the pleasure of attending a event last year. You did as well. What's kind of funny is today they're doing the live stream to get people registered for the next one, which you and I already scheduled for. So we're going to it, right? And that's the Ford Mastermind. And there was a gentleman that stepped up on stage, and he was talking about when he selected his real estate agent. Now, I know we're talking about loan officer, but I think these two go hand in hand. And he said that when they were moving from state to state, they interviewed multiple agents to make sure that they found the person that had the right, that was right for them, right? And he said the one that stood out the most was one that sat down and got to understand what was really important. What he found out, or she found out, I can't recall, as a male or female, was that they had a son. His son's name was Milo. And Milo was really wanting to have stairs, because at their old home, they'd had stairs, and he played on the stairs and slid down the stairs. And this was something that was such a focal point for them. And they'd been living in an apartment with no stairs. And it really meant something to the family. It meant something to their kid, that, they find, his ability to have his stairs back. Right. And so when this agent wrote up the proposal of the homes that they were going to go out and see, not only did they all have stairs, but when they wrote up the proposal of the homes they were going to see, they labeled it the Quest for Milo's Stairs. And that was it. That's all it took for them to say, this is the person we need to work with. Yeah. Well, why is it? Because that person took the time to understand what was important to them. Number one, their family is always going to be the most important thing. Their children are going to be the most important thing to them. But more importantly, when they took their children and put them at the focal point, right, as to why this is such an important thing, they knew that was the right person to trust. When you're getting out there and trying to build a relationship with the consumer, find out what's important to them. Find out what they really want. Because I can tell you this much right now. It's not the interest rate. It might be having a comfortable payment, and the rate may have something to do with that, but working with somebody that cares about them, that's going to get them from start to finish, that knows who they are, that's following up and communicating clearly, that's the person they're going to want to work with, Coach.
Yeah,
And
build the relationship.
build a relationship.
It's all about the relationship. Your conversions will go up. The number of leads you get, not only from the realtors, will go up, but the leads that you get from the people that you helped will go up, and they'll talk about you. And I know we're going to probably have to cut this short today. We've got another meeting coming up. I heard yours dinging and mine was dinging too. So.
Well, I think, we're going to wrap it today, but guys, keep coming back. We are off of vacation mode and back in coach mode. So look back next week, same time, same place. I'm Devin Dubuque.
I'm Coach Rick.
We will see you guys on the next one. You've been watching Loan Officer Success Live, where real strategies meet real success. Don't forget to subscribe now and share it with your teammates, and keep leveling up, because your next breakthrough starts here. If this fired you up, don't just watch success, go out there and build it.